Some people watch my videos on Swirling and think that I have something against interracial dating. Others read my blog about sisters, you want to date a white dude, and think that I have something against interracial dating. I have nothing against interracial dating at all. I have no problem with black women dating white men. I have no problem with black men dating white women. I look at the reasons for why they are getting involved with these people, and I have issues with that. What a lot of people don't know is that I have written about interracial relationships um, quite a bit. In the last year, I published Spinsterella, and the Matilda character is the daughter who came from an interracial relationship. Matilda Crowley is the daughter of a black mother and a white father. And I wrote about that to prove a point about about the children in interracial relationships and the things that they struggle with. And in the upcoming ISIS Imitation of Life, one of the supporting characters is a Native American who is married to a black man. And I wrote about that to prove a point that a lot of times during this Jim Crow period, people were involved in interracial relationships. And this was going on even back as far as 1937, even though the laws that some people say were out there saying that there was no miscegenation going on, there were interracial marriages going on between not only African Americans and Native Americans, but African Americans and whites at the same time. So I've done a lot of research on this subject. I have a good understanding of it, and I can write about the pros and the cons regarding it. And I understand that there is a big difference between an interracial relationship and swirling. An interracial relationship is a relationship where two people from different races are coming together because they have things in common. They have the same values, they have the same ideas, they have the same goals, and they have the same beliefs and ideas, again, regarding relationships, and they're coming together based on things regarding substance. And these things regard the content of their character. They're coming together because they care about each other, they love each other, they see each other beyond race, and they're coming together too because they love each other and they love being with each other. Their relationships are rock solid and they're very long lasting and very loving and very caring. And the people who come from those relationships are very loving and very caring. So that's an interracial relationship. That's a healthy interracial relationship. That's because those people see people as people and they want to be with someone because they love them for who they are, not the color of their skin. A person who swirls, like these girls who swirl and these guys who swirl, this is a person who is very shallow, and they're only with a person based on the color of their skin. So when they go out and pursue relationships, the first thing they're looking at is a person's skin tone. And that's all that matters to them. They don't care about the person's values, they don't care about the person's ideas, they don't care about the person's goals, they don't care about the things that they have in common. The only thing that they want is to have a relationship with a person of a certain skin tone. And their relationships oftentimes are very shallow because all they're looking for is a skin tone. And when you look at that type of relationship, it's basically objectification. They're looking at this person as an object, a status item. They don't see a person that they love or they care about. They're looking at some type of person as some type of social currency. So when they get involved with this person, they're just looking to get with a white guy for the sake of getting with a white guy or a white woman for the sake of getting with a white woman. And they're doing that because they either are found a lot of problems with with the people in their own race, or they just can't find, or they just have a hard time with relationships altogether. And when we look at their relationships, these swirlers, oftentimes their relationships are, again, very shallow, very half hearted, and very dysfunctional. And when they go over to have relationships with people of other races, they often wind up having the same type of dysfunctional relationships. And I'll give you, examples of a successful interracial relationship and a dysfunctional one. And I can look at two examples of very successful interracial relationships that I saw, and I used one of them when I was writing Spinsterella. And the first one that I saw was um, Karen Parsons. Now, Karen Parsons, as a lot of people know, actress Karen Parsons is biracial, and she has a white father and a black mother, and she married a white man, and she's been married to this white man for over 20 some years. She has biracial children. Her marriage is very happy, and her kids are very happy. And she got with the man that she felt comfortable with and happy with, and her relationship was based on values. It was based on the things that they had in common. So she had a relationship with this man, with a man who was just like her father, and everything was fine. So she hasn't had a problem in over 20 years. Another relationship that I saw was the relationship between the Maori family, and that was what really inspired me to write the Spinsterella, because I saw Tia Maori's picture with her and her father. Um, the Maori family, they've been married for a long time. The Maori's parents, Tia and Tamara's parents, have been married for, I think, over 30 years or so, and they've had a successful interracial relationship again because it was based on the content of the character, things people had in common, things that they shared, things that they believed in, and these people genuinely loved each other for who they were and who they were about, and they passed that love and caring on to their children. um, Tia, Tamara, Taj, they all have that same thing. And Tamara went on to marry Adam Housley, and they had a successful interracial relationship. And that all goes down to the values that the Tia and Tamara's mother taught her children, because they learned from their mother, just like Karen Parsons learned from her mother, to judge people based on the content of their character, and they had very happy relationship. I mean, Tamara Mowry was with Adam Housley for years, before she even married this guy, and before this guy even came into the mainstream media. I saw pictures of these guys of them way back in the early 2000s, and I didn't even flinch. I didn't even care, because I understood that the relationship was a natural relationship. It wasn't something done based on a set of shallow reasons. It was these people genuinely had values. They met people who they had things in common with, and their relationship was based on something of substance. And that was one of the big things that inspired me to create the Matilda Crowley character for Spinsterella, was seeing that type of love that people had that transcended race. I mean, that's a family that I wanted to promote in this story, and the type of family values I wanted to promote. Because a lot of people look at interracial relationships and they think about the dysfunction that they see, but those are people who have, shallow relationships. People who have relationships of substance have no problem coming together. They have no problem getting married. They have no problem raising a family. And in fact, their families are just like any other family, and their families are just dysfunctional. I mean, they have no problem, their children have no problem finding dating. They have no problem with relationships. They have no problem getting married. It doesn't become an issue in a healthy interracial relationship. Both families go on. They're just like every other family. Race is not an issue for that family. Yes, there are little conflicts and little struggles that they have with people outside of the family, but the inside of the family, the core values are extremely strong. And these are people who go out and, yeah, they have relationships with black people or they have relationships with white people. And they have relationships based on the things they have in common with people. Whereas your swirlers, everything is on a shallow foundation. Everything regarding relationships is completely dysfunctional. They are with people based on the color of their skin. And that's all the relationship is based on. The person being white, the person and the ideas regarding, the whiteness or the Hispanic or the Arab. It's based on, generalizations and misconceptions regarding ethnicity. That's what a swirler does. They make, these sweeping ideas that, white is going to be better. A white guy is going to treat me better than a black guy. A Asian guy is going to treat me better than a black guy, and that's because he will, be this Prince Charming or this knight in shining armor. Whereas the person with the interracial relationship, like your Tamara Mowry's or your Karen Parsons, they understand that relationships are going to be relationships regardless of skin tone. That if I don't have anything in common with this person, I'm not going to be able to deal with what's going to happen in this relationship. Relationships have ups and downs and struggles, and they have good days and they have bad days, and that person understands that. Whereas a swirler thinks that this is going to be a yellow brick road made of gold, and that things are going to be completely different if they get with someone of a different race. And because they are thinking this, they wind up in a world of disappointment. Because when you think that things are going to be different on the other side, that's not the case at all. Because what a lot of people who swirl don't understand is that, you know, who's attracted to you is based on who you are, not based on the other person. And what you're attracting is based on how you feel about yourself on the inside. That's what's going to cause you to attract these type of people to you. So in a lot of cases, when it comes down to these swirlers, what they do is, because they're so shallow, they wind up, attracting, going from the chocolate pool of dysfunctional Negroes over to the vanilla pool of dysfunctional white guys. And they're thinking that they're getting something new and different when all they're doing is getting the exact same type of guy in a different color. And that's all they're getting because, again, their values are messed up. They're looking for a guy to be different from what they're used to. And they don't understand that, people are attracted to those who they have things in common with. And when you're attracted to someone who has something in common with you, that's based on how you feel about yourself, how you see yourself, and how you see the world. So you being attracted to these dysfunctional black men is based on you and how you feel about yourself on the inside. And what happens is these people go from walking away from the black guys who are dysfunctional to heading right over to the white guys who are dysfunctional. And a lot of them, after about 4 or 5 years, wind up becoming extremely disappointed with not only black guys, but white guys. And I saw a case of that with actress Halle Berry. Now, Halle Berry has been married 3 times, twice to black guys, and once to a European white guy. And she's been a baby, and she dated a baby daddy, Gabriel Aubrey, who was a white guy. And in all 4 cases, was nothing but failure. And that failure had nothing to do with the skin tone of the guys. That failure of all of her relationships had to do with the content of Halle Berry's character, the values of Halle Berry, and her dysfunctional life paradigm. You see, Halle Berry's problem was with every man she got involved with, she wanted to dominate and control them. And she wanted to control them and manipulate them. And we did a lot of people, they disregarded David Justice when he said it. They thought, oh, he's just some black guy, and he's the problem, he's the issue. And a lot of people said Eric Benet was the problem and the issue. And they looked at those 2 brothers and said those 2 brothers were the problem. But it wasn't until the white guy, Gabriel Aubrey, started saying he was having the exact same problems with Halle Berry that people started taking a long, hard look at Halle Berry. And Halle Berry's reasons for getting involved with Gabriel Aubrey were, again, extremely shallow. She went and said, I tried black men, and now I'm going over to the white guys. She went over to the white guys, tried to have a relationship on her terms, had a child out of wedlock with this man, and was going on and participating in some of the most dysfunctional behaviors with this man. Had this man get into a fight with her new boyfriend um, over their daughter out on Thanksgiving Day. And then, it really started to come out regarding her and how dysfunctional she was. She then marries Oliver Martinez, and they have a child, and then he starts to see it. So all of her relationships, the common denominator was her. And what happens with a lot of swirlers is they never come to the thing that regarding saying that, the common denominator is me. It's not the guys. Because you go from one pool to another pool, and the common denominator that's dysfunctional is the female who picks these guys. Again, that's what causes, that's the difference between a swirler and a person who's involved in an interracial relationship. A person who's involved in an interracial relationship, again, their values, their core values, are rock solid. They're looking for a person, again, based on the content of their character. They're looking for someone with the similar values, the similar ideas. Um, they often come from the same communities. Oftentimes, women who are involved in interracial relationships or men who are involved in interracial relationships, they live in the same neighborhood around white people or people of other races, and they see these people and they get to know them as people. They are just like a member of their own family. So when they get married, there's a foundation for something solid and substantive. So these people, when they come together, it's something substantive, and that's why their relationships are long lasting, and they have children who have strong values, and when they pick partners, they're with them for long periods of time, and all of this transcends race. Whereas your swirler, again, they are just looking to move from one dysfunctional situation, thinking that if they go to another race, that the situation is going to change, the situation is going to be better, and that things are going to be different. When, again, the problem is not the person of another race, the problem is the person themselves. And because they are looking for something to be different from one side, they don't see that the problem is them and that they are the thing that's messed up, not the person of another race. Because if your values and your core values are not strong, you're not going to attract people of character to you. If your character and your values are dysfunctional, all you're going to do is attract dysfunctional people to you. Like attracts like, regardless if it's black or white. And sadly, people who swirl never come to that point in their life to understand this. They look at relationships, from a very shallow and half hearted way. They look at relationships from a dysfunctional way. And they don't see people as people. They see, you know, themselves, they see a person of another race as an escape from the dysfunction that they created and the dysfunctional situation that they, participate in. They're the ones who will sit there and date the thugs and the bad boys and the ex-cons, or they'll date if they're men, they'll go out here and date the gold diggers and the predatory females, but then they'll go over to the white pool and the white pool of people and then go out and seek out the very same people, but in a different color. Whereas the women who went out here with the thugs and the bad boys, they'll go out here and get with the bikers or the tough guys, the white tough guys, and the black guys will go out here. They were dating the hood rats and the gold diggers in their neighborhood. They'll go from the black pool to the white female Jersey girls and other gold diggers, and they'll sit there and think that things have changed, but it's not until things get hard that they see that they're the exact same thing. And that's the difference between, a healthy interracial relationship and a relationship between a girl or a guy who swirls. That's all I have to say for this video. If you want to read Spinsterella, you can pick it up on Amazon.com in paperback or an ebook, and it's also on Smashwords. Spinsterella is a story that is partially a part about the goth subculture, but the character does make points about being biracial and living with an interracial family. Um, it's a great story that will open up your mind and your perspective on things, and I really think you'll enjoy it. But that's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.